Now to look at evidence passing between the learner and the assessor. First, we log in as the learner and look at the account profile. If they didn't previously put in a pupil or assessor ID, they can put it in now, and saving it will make a link with the awards artbook site. You can see now that it's found the group that the learner is in. In the My Units tab, the learner will also be registered with any units that were saved together with their name on the awards site. In this case, it's Silver Unit 7 for word processing. These tabs provide a mechanism for passing evidence to the assessor. The My Pages tab is blank at the moment because they haven't created any pages. So we'll create a regular page. Regular pages are standard pages that can be used to build e-portfolios, use blogs, and providing general content and information on the website. We can edit the text on the web page using a word processor style editor, or in this mode we can actually put in the HTML. This provides more flexibility. Switching back to the rich text editor, we can use the normal word processing style tools to change the style of the text. We can change the URL path settings to a meaningful name and save it, so that the URL at the top of the screen is now a meaningful name that can be remembered. So we could go straight to this page by remembering the end part after community. If we look at the My Pages tab now, we will see the page we've created, which is now listed in the list of My Pages. You can see a Revisions tab too. The system will keep a track of every change and every alteration, and you can revert back to earlier versions. We'll now look at evidence pages. These are a particular type of page used for passing evidence between the learner and their assessor and back again. So here we are creating a first evidence page for Learner 3. The evidence page has some extra facilities compared to regular pages. With an evidence page, we can attach files and also self and peer assess. Here we're making a link to the page we created earlier. The links can be internal to the website, or they can be external to other websites. We can write descriptions in here or attach files. So if the learner has done a presentation, they can attach to the page. We can now also link to the evidence provided the assessment criteria we think that the evidence supports. Here the learner is describing to the assessor what evidence they think they are providing, and in the next part we'll show how that is linked to the page. Here are the assessment criteria, so we add the selected criteria. We can save the selected unit and criteria with the page. I can now provide a self-assessment for the work. I think it meets the standards, and so I mark an S for secure. Here is my evidence to be submitted. It's listed here. This is the title of the page and the date, and I can submit it for assessment. It asks me if I'm sure, and if I am, I make the submission and log out. We'll now look at the view of the assessor logging in. So Assessor 1 is Learner 3's assessor. They are linked on the awards and markbook site. Goes to my learners and sees in the end of the list, this is my first evidence page from Learner 3. They can review the evidence, looking at the page that the learner has produced and any other attached files. They see that the learner has marked themselves an S for secure. They think there is not enough evidence, so makes this lower. There is some evidence, but not enough to meet the criteria, so they have downgraded it to an L and approved it. Now the assessor writes a note to the learner explaining why they have downgraded the mark and what needs to be done in order to make it secure. They then invite the learner to resubmit. We can preview this and then finally submit it. The assessor will now log out, and when the learner logs back in again, they will see the assessor's comments. So we log back in as the learner again, it's Learner 3, and in my pages, they then go to my units and look for the evidence, click on their work, and they see the comments. They are now in a position to make the extra evidence good and resubmit the work to the assessor.